and then introduce herself and what she does. Thank you very much.
I should get some weights in there. A little bit of exercise. You guys are moving around. I have to get some weights. But my name is Azza Gassim. I'm turning 29 this year. Don't let this face fool you. Yeah, I got a young face, but I'm like still young at heart. I'm a creative as well, so I actually have an art space just down in the plot as well. So you guys are more than welcome to have a little look there. But yeah, I've kind of been brought up here in Plymouth. For the most part of my life, I lived in the Middle East for 5 years and then came back, and I've been bouncing around from Plymouth to Bristol to London just to kind of get more experience in the creative industry and build a legacy for the next generation to come and all the rest of it, really.
Okay, so our next member is Yad.
Ehab.
Thank you. I told you I was terrible with names.
It's okay, you tried.
I tried. If it makes you feel any better, people can't say my name.
That's
So,
Hi, I'm Hiav. I go to Denport High School for Girls, and I'm really happy I've been invited to this panel because it'll be really interesting to hear everyone talk about, all their individual stories and how I feel like we'll also be able to relate with a lot of people. So yeah, thank you for having me on this panel. I hope we'll talk.
can we please make some noise for the lovely lady? Our next member is Anna. Come on, Anna. Come on.
Hi everyone, my name is Anna. I'm 15. I go to Hull School, and I think earlier on you met my mum, who is Lillian, and I'm here today to talk on behalf of people my age and the experiences that we face for all generations.
And finally, we have Maddie in the house.
Hello, I am Maddie from Hill School, and I'm very thankful for being here today. I'm talking about girls at school and how we get treated throughout the school and how it's not the same throughout everyone.
And it's me again. You're never going to get sick and tired of me today. If you are, then I'll probably post on my group for 10 other events, so watch out. So the theme for this year's International Women's Day is breaking bias, breaking barriers. If you young women could tell us how you have broken a bias or a barrier, should I start with? Oh,
The oldest first, I guess. I mean, in terms of me breaking the barriers, I've kind of done it through my artwork and creativity. So when I was younger, I had the vision of studying fashion, and that was all I wanted to do. But alongside, I was a self-taught artist, so I was doing a lot of artwork and illustrations on the side. But over the years, I kind of was very much influenced by my culture. So being from Sudan, I tried to influence that in my artwork and stay rooted in that. So it's breaking the barriers between how the older generation see artwork and see creativity, but also how I see it as well. So one piece that I was so fortunate to do last year, actually, a week before my birthday, which was a great birthday present, was in Honnocknell due to I'm not sure if you guys have seen the lockdown gallery that's in front of Toys R Us. So you've got all the different artworks. They also have another location in Honnocknell, which has a lot of other young artists and up-and-coming artists, and I actually have a piece that's up there, which is painted in blue, yellow, and in blue, yellow, and green to represent the old flag of Sudan. So the blue represents the Nile, the yellow represents the desert, and the green represents the agriculture. But in the middle of it, it's in the shape of Sudan, and it was a poem and detailed face of something that I was very much influenced. So that was kind of me breaking the barriers for the younger generation, be like, well, there's one tradition that I see, but also another thing that I want other people to see.
for me, breaking what I did was since I was young, I'd always had people not really taking me seriously, or they just assumed that I wouldn't be able to do something before I'd even really talk to them. So I started like making a point out of probably stubbornness, but to whenever I'd be told, "Oh, I don't think that's really your thing," or "Are you sure you can do that?" I go and join it. Like, for example, the government, called the Youth Parliament.
Yeah.
So many people told me that I don't really think that's your thing. Do you even know much about politics? But then I decided to go join it, and it's been amazing. Other things like even from like things like joining a debate club, or volunteering for a charity and things like that, where it's like you just can't let what people say about you shape who you are, because at the end of the day, if you think you could do something, you need to go for it. You cannot let people underestimate you.
The barrier that I'm going to talk about is in sport. From when I was younger in primary school, I used to play football like everywhere I go. I'd always have my football gear, always have my boots wherever I was. And I think when I was younger, that wasn't seen as a problem because all the competitions, everything, I used to get seen the exact same as everyone else. But when I got to secondary school, that's when all these comments started being made of, "Oh, well, you can't do it, you're a girl," or "I'm not going to pick you to go on my team because we're just going to lose," and all things like that. And it made me so discouraged to the point where I just stopped playing football in general, and I just didn't see the point in there anymore because I thought, why should I do something and then constantly feel like I'm not good enough to do it, even though I know that I'm able to do it? So yeah, for a long time I was upset about that, and I just stopped doing it, and I just didn't see the point in it anymore. Until it came to like one day in PE when I saw all the boys were playing football, and I was thinking, in my whole 3 years of being in this school, why haven't we played football in PE? So we spoke to the teachers about it, and they were like, "Oh, sorry, it's not on your curriculum." So I was like, okay. So we started getting a bunch of people, and we kind of challenged the school on it, thinking, why can't we do football, but everyone else can? And when we went to them, they said, well, not many girls will want to do it. So to prove a point, we kind of got everyone and said, out of all you people here, who would want to do PE, or who would want to do football for PE? And pretty much everyone raised their hand, and they still didn't do it from then. So I think one of the barriers I've broken is, even though they didn't change anything about it, but I think they've recognized it and they've seen that it's a problem, and they should know that when this issue gets raised again, or when something else like this happens, they'll really understand, and maybe there will be a change. So even though the barrier wasn't completely broken, I think I was able to kind of make a bit of an impact, and yeah.
The barrier I think I've broken is kind of coming on from Anna's, but when we were choosing our year 8, like your GCSE options, you go over to each option or whatever. I went over to PE and I spoke to one of the teachers about it, but the only response I got from them was, well, we would love girls to do football, but we focus on boys more. But why? Like, we all do the same sports and it's nothing different, but they still decided to say, but boys, we focus on the boys more because we think they've got more strength or more like ability to do the football. And then in our other lessons, there's like a PD, which you learn about women's rights, all the other rights and whatever. And there's just boys like making comments that you wouldn't really want to hear as a girl, especially on a Women's History Month or whatever. Like, you don't want to hear those comments when we're learning about a day where it's for women. And it's just like, what's the point in hearing it?
Thank you very much. That was really brave. I'm going to make this interactive now. Woohoo! I love the enthusiasm in the room, guys. Anybody would like to ask any questions to the lovely ladies? The floor is now open. Fantastic. Thank you.
In the video, we saw about your message to our younger selves. What would you, as young women, what's your message to us as older women?
Yeah, good one. Good one. That's great.
Great question. What do you want to ask?
No. Yes, please.
So in the video, we ask, what advice would you give to your younger self? As young women, what advice do you want from
What advice would you give as young women to us as
older women? So it's the other way around. What advice would you give to older women?
Be yourself still. Like, don't think that you have to change just because you're not young anymore, young as such. But just be yourself and do whatever you want. Don't think there's a barrier to stop when you get older as such.
Thank you.
Yeah, going with what Maddie said, like a lot of like the adults around me, like I'll hear them talking about that something that they were passionate about when they were younger, right? And when I ask them, why don't you do it anymore? And they're like, oh no, that's just something I did when I was younger, or I'm too old for it now, or I haven't got the time for it now. And I realized like a lot of the times I don't see the older yeah, people in my life like doing what they love anymore because they have, responsibilities and like, they don't have the time and they're too stressed. They don't make time for themselves anymore and not get to enjoy their life like they did when they were a child. So I think advice is just, do what you want to and try and make time for things you love. Yeah.
I mean, the advice that I would give to someone that's older than me, not that old, but still, old enough to keep giving me advice and just be able to have that conversation, I would say. So it's be comfortable with the uncomfortable. That was the one thing that I took away from the video, is I come from a very religious family. So it's difficult for me to kind of have conversations with my mom on certain topics. I feel very uncomfortable with it. So instead, I go to other women and other sisterhoods and community spaces and have those conversations. I wish, for me, if it was me speaking it to my mom, I would say, okay, let's try and have an open discussion about it, because how else am I supposed to grow as a person, and how are you supposed to learn from me and what's happening if we can't open that conversation and break that, like the crack and all the rest of it, basically. So just be open.
Thank you for your question. One more question. Go on.
Hi. I don't have to come. I'll shout. Yes. So usually I'm loud enough for most people to hear me. Can you hear me?
Yes.
So that we're moving on slightly, but not too far away from this conversation where we've just started here. And in the spirit of what you've advised me, which is to be open, and in the spirit of what we're doing here today, which is multi-generational cooperation and collaboration, you will have noticed that the older women in this room have thrown ourselves open to your mercy in many ways. And I think if you added up our years of experience, we have many centuries possibly at your disposal. So my question to you, and take this from me with my philosophy that it's best always to be open and honest. What do you actually need from us?
I think what we need from people of the older generation, not older generation. I think what we need is just support, really, and to have that sort of checking up on us, because I know with other people, with back to what I was saying about football, there'll be some people that have just dropped it completely, and that's their passion. So I think in order for us to strive in what we do, it needs to be our passion. We can't do something or go to a job every single day that we don't find a passion in it, because over time it's just going to eat us away internally and it's just not going to work for us anymore. So I think being that support and being able to, like, whatever your daughter, whatever your cousin, your niece or your sister really wants to do and what they have a passion in, even if it's not exactly what you think is ideal for them, I think just being able to support them in what they want to do is better than kind of like pushing it to the side and not really acknowledging them for what they want.
For me, it's more of like going back to something that I connect very well with is obviously like my culture and my roots and stuff. Another conversation that I've actually had with my mum again is about hair and beauty standards. This is something that there shouldn't even be standards, period. It should be just embracing yourself and the beauty that you have within you. This is something that I've shared with my mom on countless occasions, hence the afro that's wildly out. But it was more along the lines of when my mom was younger, she had the most beautiful afro that I have ever seen in my life. And over the years, it just faded away. And the saddest part is when she sees that my hair is out and I'm looking after it and we have these tough conversations. And she'll just look at me in a way that it's like, it's not acceptable. So when I travel to Sudan, I have to like straighten my hair, etc., etc. And that was the standard that I threw out of the window a couple of years ago. And I said, I've had enough. I've seen my older cousins, not the women, my older cousins, embrace themselves, and I'm channeling that energy and trying to prove to my parents that we should be able to embrace who you are and all the rest of it. This is still a battle that I deal with every single day up until now, but I just keep going. One thing that I will add for actually the young ones is hopefully this summer I planned a summer program as part of kind of like a little sister, older sister type of program. So it's talking about women empowerment, and I have a couple of activities planned. So if you have any young ones that are interested, shout us on Girls to Women UK, and I can more than happy give you guys some information about it as well.
Sorry, mine will be short. I should say, like, have those uncomfortable conversations with us, because I've noticed a lot with the older women in my life. Sorry. Older women in my life. They try to kind of shield away the kind of uncomfortable parts of life from us. It's to keep us protected and to kind of try and cocoon us in this bubble of safety or whatever. But sometimes we do need to talk to you about the uncomfortable things that happen in life. All the things, like, it can range from things like, oh, someone was mean to me at school, or why was I being catcalled in the street, or even like really big subjects like racism, sexism. We would love to have those conversations with you. We'd love to hear what you think about it, and love to hear like your own stories as well. And you don't always have to be like the big protector. You can like open up. Yeah.
Those answers were really, really incredible. Any more questions? Hello.
Yeah, just a quick one. Just following up on what Alexis said. So let's say that we provide you with with the support that you need, and also based on your experience, how will that support or help your future self?
Who would like to take that question?
It also goes back to my point about the little sister, big sister program thing that I was speaking about. This is something that I wanted when I was younger. When I was growing up in Plymouth, there wasn't a lot of people that looked like me. I went to a predominantly white school, and there was probably about the amount of people on my fingertips that looked like me. And it was more of going to the mosque and these type of spaces that I actually had someone that looked like me in places that I could speak to. And this is something that I wanted for my next generation. So all of these young people and even the younger ones, these are the type of programs and important values I want to instill in my kid and say, hey, I support you with whatever you're doing, everything that I've learned from the older generation to pass down onto the younger generation. It just keeps going and going and going. That's the only way that I see it happening for me personally.
I think leading on from that, as fortunately, I was lucky enough to have like a family and a mum and everyone that was able to support me and make me feel confident from a young age. But I feel like there's millions of other young girls that don't have that confidence, and when people are making those comments about their hair, or your hair should be straightened, or your this is blah, 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 just going on at them, and they're not able to talk back because they feel too ashamed, or they feel like their opinion is not valid enough. I think that if they're able to be empowered and have that confidence from young, that's going to influence how they deal with situations when they're older. Instead of shying away and kind of feeling bad about themselves, they're able to say, oh, well, do you know why my hair's like this? Or I'm going to keep my hair like this regardless of what you say. You're able to kind of keep that confidence and be comfortable in your own skin so that when you grow up, these issues won't affect you as badly.
Any more questions? Oh, go on.
Yeah, my question would be, as young adults within the Trigger community, how are you able to maintain your own mental health? Because there is quite a high rate of anxiety and depression in young adults. So as young adults, do you have that outlet that can support you in regards to your mental well-being within the Trigger community?
Who would like to take it?
I think that we have a lot of support. We have a lot of support in like our schools or whatever, but I don't think some girls like to talk up to schools, because if we talk to our school, then they could think to our parents, but we don't want our parents to know yet. So it's like, so sometimes we go to like our friends, or not our friends as such, but just people around us in our schools, just to have some sort of help if we have our mental health problems.
Yeah, going from what like Maddie is saying, yeah, absolutely, because I've noticed, I mean, this is why a while back I did, like, for my youth parliament, I did a campaign on mental health, because I would talk to nearly all of my friends, and I'd talk to all different types of people, all types of different girls, and they'd all tell me about how they didn't have any type of outlet. The only type of outlet they had was like maybe social media, but that wasn't always the healthiest. And also, as well, even though mental health is words are thrown around all the time these days, is there really much being done for it, especially in the younger generation? I mean, the mental health facilities in Plymouth are underfunded and understaffed. And at schools as well, some schools barely have a counsellor, and maybe they'll talk to a teacher that they like, but these aren't people that are professionally trained and know how to handle young people and all their thoughts, their problems, everything that's going on with them. So even though I don't know how to help other people with mental health, I feel like we need to start putting more pressure on the higher ups to start putting, properly funding these services, these facilities, so that we can actually try and help these young people, especially when COVID was happening. Mental health cases started going up by like around 48%-ish, and started having more calls to these services, more people trying to book in, but then having to wait in these waiting lists. And yeah, so I think we need to start putting more priority on young people's mental health, and there isn't enough right now.
Okay, we're going to take one last question.
Well, just to follow on what you're saying, what do you feel is possible with these ideal situations as far as what work? What would be needed, I suppose?
I think what would be needed in order to help people and help young people and their mental health is to have people, how do I say, not people that are like slightly older than them that have recently just experienced the same thing that you've experienced. So like, let's say 20 and up, they've just finished their A-level, they've just finished their GCSEs. Because I think a lot of stress comes from school. So it doesn't sound right to talk to the school when your stress is coming from school. Like, it doesn't sound like that's not the most convenient way of doing things. So I think having people and training younger people that are of a closer age to us, we find it a lot easier to talk to them because it's more relatable, and we feel like they're going to understand our issues more because they've just come through it. So yeah.
going to break for food because we have another panel. But these lovely ladies are here today. And while you're having food, connect with them. Someone's interested in politics, so maybe go speak to the Lord Mayor, you know. Just a hint. And when you do become a mayor, do remember me. But we're now ready for food, so we'll be doing lovely, lovely food by the ladies that have cooked the food. Thank you very much. So, yeah. Could you mind just taking the chairs out of that food court area so people can take, and then we will.
Yeah.